I went to public schools, and we had a great library in my elementary school. By the time I got through elementary school, I had caught up with everybody. I was reading. I still don't spell very well. I never really learned how to spell well. But I was reading, like I said, and life was pretty good. You know, my mom and dad loved each other. They were married to each other. They had jobs. We had a house. We lived in the same house all the way through elementary school. So life was pretty good. And then I went to middle school, right? Oh, you could like write a novel on those two sentences right there. Elementary school was pretty good. And then I went to middle school. Oh, middle school is hard for so many reasons for a lot of people. And it was more complicated in my case because my family fell apart then. My dad was a vet from World War II, and he saw some really horrible things when he was in Germany. And after that war, you know, he came home, a lot of those vets came home from that war, and they're just like, okay, we're going to put all that stuff behind us. And we're going to, got jobs, and we're going to raise our families, and that was the war. We're not going to pay attention to it. But the war caught up with a lot of those guys, including my dad. And he was a pretty heavy drinker when I was a little kid, but by the time I got to middle school, he had completely melted down, and he was just hardcore, crazy drunk dad guy. Which was confusing because I loved him, because he was my dad, you know. And when he started to drink seriously and do really mean things, that was really awful and confusing. So he lost his job, we lost our house. You know, and it's funny because when you're in that situation, you don't think, wow, this really sucks. You're just like, this is confusing. It was really confusing to me as a kid. We went to a lot of different apartments, went to a lot of different schools. And the weirdest thing is that we couldn't talk about it because my mom is like an old school white lady. You've seen them, right? They always look really angry. You know, Yankee ladies. All of my mom's people came from like Vermont and New Hampshire. So they're really cranky because they're cold. You know, just they have to wear wool sweaters all the time and they're itching. And then this man that somebody has a mother like mine. Oh, okay. And so my mom, though, well, she was the one who kept it all together because she, you know, daddy wasn't working. And so mom had to get the job and make sure that we had food every day. So we kept on moving, but we couldn't talk about how our life had changed. We couldn't talk about what's wrong with dad or why are you working 2 jobs. And then in the middle of all this, we had just moved again. I was going to high school. I was in 9th grade. I was raped. And because of everything that was crazy in my house, I didn't tell anybody. And I can give you the details, you know, how that happened in a minute. But what's most important is that I didn't tell anybody because my dad was already crazy. And we had guns. You know, I'm a country person. I grew up with a lot of guns in our house. And I was so afraid that if I told somebody, if I told my mom or my dad would get a gun and hunt the kid down and shoot him. And then it would be my fault because my dad would be in jail. So I didn't tell anybody for 25 years, which was a huge mistake on my part. But I'll get to that in a second. So high school sucked. My family was falling apart. I was in a school where I didn't know anybody, and I was really depressed.